This week we'll begin looking at the various options for GIS on the MacBook. Well, MacBook in my case, Macs in general for most people. Just wanted to first start with taking a quick look at what the MacBook Pro offers. I have the most current with the Core 2 Duo, 15.4-inch display, 2.16 gigahertz machine, SuperDrive, FireWire, USB, pretty standard. You can get up to a 200 gigabyte hard drive, but that's running at 4800 RPM, and while 5400, which all the other hard drives come at, is pretty slow, 4800 is definitely too slow for doing any data intensive applications. Of course 7200 would be the best option, but to get the size that you might want to be able to dual boot like I have with Windows XP or soon to be Vista and the Mac OS, or to run parallels so you have multiple hard drives, virtual hard drives sitting on your hard drive, you'll probably want to have a 160 gigabyte drive at the very least. Gigabit Ethernet for those of you who are working in an office atmosphere, wireless of course if you're not, and it does offer a Radeon X1600 with 128 megs of RAM for the one I have, and you can also get higher versions in the 17-inch version, which comes with 256 megs of RAM. We'll get started by looking at some of the web browsing options. Of course, you always have Google Maps. I work with Firefox. Safari, while getting better, and it's supposed to be even better with the release of 10.5 in the next few months. Firefox 2 is still my browser of choice, since I commonly go back and forth between environments now. So what you would expect, your standard ability to move in and out. Satellite imagery works just like it does always. Of course, running on a modem here, or of course, running on a DSL connection here. So not necessarily the fastest thing in the world, but everything still comes in normally. Live, of course, you can still see the 2D, but not really available unless you're using IE, and since IE was cut off at version 5 point something, I believe, for the Mac, Mac will not have access to the 2D or the 3D virtual Earth anytime in the near future. You still do have the aerial imagery and the hybrid, and of course you can still do landmarks like the Washington Monument. And with that, you can do the always famous pictometry images. So still very useful. And not to be left out, the offerings from Yahoo. New tab I hadn't noticed before. So live traffic. Everybody has severe traffic. And we're just going to start touching on some of the software. This will be everybody's favorite, Google Earth. Works just like it does in Windows. Let's head down to Pittsburgh and check out some 3D buildings real quick. As I mentioned, it does have 128 megabytes of video RAM, so whether you're running in Windows or in Mac, you have plenty of graphics capability. There is an issue that we'll talk about, or I've talked about in the blog, and we'll probably talk about in the future whenever I do the follow-up to this particular podcast, whenever we start talking about some of the other GIS applications that is running in Parallels, which is just like VMware for Windows and Linux, but a separate application, a different developing group. VMware should be soon available for the Mac, according to their website. And we'll finish up this evening with QGIS. Just toss some sample data that I already had sitting around into the software. Just like you might expect, if you're not used to QGIS on Windows or Mac, you might want to go out and check it out. very similar to what you're used to using if you're an Esri user. And generally my freeware version of choice for GIS, which I tend to suggest to quite a few people. So that's about it for the night. We'll bring you another installment of this probably in January, where I'll talk about UDIG, GRASS, Canvas GIS, a couple of others, and TNT Maps. Be sure to check out Cartographica's part 1 of their review on GIS on the Mac. Derek never seems to have gotten to part 2, but part 1 does actually offer a good bit of information for those of you who are interested in becoming a somewhat switcher or a full switcher.